Now, before this video even starts, I want to let everybody know there's going to be huge spoilers all throughout this video, spoiling the entire story of the game, also spoiling some of the rewards you get for doing various tasks throughout the game. So if you have not played the game and you want to keep that innocence of not playing it yet and you don't want me to ruin it, please do not watch this. But if you're already familiar with the story or you just don't care if someone else ruins it for you, then yeah, by all means, please keep watching. Now, for the story of Link's Awakening, it's pretty much Link is out on a boat. That boat gets hit by lightning. You wake up on a beach with a girl named Marin. She tells you you're on the island of Koholint, and then an owl comes to you and tells you that you are trapped here until the windfish wakes up. And in order to wake up the windfish, you need to go collect the 8 magical instruments that's all around the island and play those instruments, and then you'll wake up the windfish and get to go home. That seems pretty easy, normal Zelda adventure, but this one has quite a twist. About halfway through the game, and a little bit before that, some of the dungeon bosses start to hint that maybe everything isn't as it seems on the island of Koholint, or maybe all as it seems with your journey. So about halfway through the game, you realize that Koholint is just a dream of the windfish. And when you wake up the windfish, Koholint will cease to exist. And cease to exist means all these people that normally Link would be the savior of, going around defeating the bosses, defeating evil, clearing the dungeons, bringing back peace. That's not the case at all in this adventure. No, you're actually bringing about their demise by going forward with your own personal, selfish goal of waking up the windfish so you can go home. Because once he awakens, they cease to exist. And instead of telling you this at the end of the game after you wake up the windfish, like, hey, this was all just a dream. No, this game strategically tells you at the midway point. That way, you know for the rest of the game that everything you do is pretty much bringing about the demise of all these people that you've come to know. You've come to know their hopes and their dreams and their wishes, their personalities, all that stuff. Every time they see you and they're so happy to see you and wish you well on your journey and stuff, you know that you're just bringing about their end. You're ending their entire reality just so that you can wake up, or just so that you can wake up the windfish and you can go home. Now, the game does try to tell you at the end that, all this will be in your heart. And when you think about this, that'll make it real, because those memories you have of Koholint, those will be real to you. Well, no, you still kill everyone. You still are a mass murderer, so to speak, of all the people, all the animals, everything there. You erase it. So that really sets this Zelda apart from any other Zelda game I've played, because normally Link's the savior. And in this case, you're not. You just want to go home, and you pretty much do what you have to do in order to get home. So now that I've finished completely ruining the story for everybody, let's talk a little bit about the visuals. Now, the visuals actually is what drew me to this game. It gave off a vibe of like a claymation type, and that's actually why I ended up buying the game, or one of the reasons, because I never played this game on the Game Boy. So this was kind of another chance for me to go ahead and experience this Zelda game that I never got a chance to. Now, granted, obviously, you don't just buy a game just because of how it looks, but I know that this is a Zelda game. So, being a Zelda game, I know the track record. They make good Zelda games. Most, if not all of the Zelda games have been good to great games. So, with that range, I know that this is a pretty safe investment, and this game actually turned out to be a great one. It's actually in my top 5 of all-time Zelda games, and I did not expect it to be coming in, but I'm happy that I did go back and play this one, or I guess get a chance to play this one now that they brought it out to the Switch. Now, I'm not going to dive too far into the gameplay because, the gameplay is great. And I guess a quick way to wrap it up is, if you've played Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo, this game plays pretty much exactly the same as that one, so that's great. Now, this game definitely is nowhere near the most difficult of Zelda games. There's a lot of things baked into it actually to make it less difficult. Whether you have the little telephone huts that will give you hints about where you should go if you ever get stuck. Also, the whole memory thing that they've built into the game. That way, if the owl tells you, oh, you should go here, or maybe you've just gotten a magical item and it'll tell you, oh, you should head here next. All those things get saved in your memory, so you can just pull up those memories, read them, and see like, okay, this is where I need to go next. And it helps out a lot if you've put the game down, maybe for a day or two. You pick it back up. You really don't know where you left off. That's where those memories come in key. So you can kind of get right back on track to where you left off without having a lot of roaming around time until maybe you hit that cutscene or you find that next guy who tells you like, oh, you should go here, or you finally made it here and you're like, oh, okay, I'm back on track. But what I do want to get into is a few things about the game that I didn't really like that much. And I say it's a great game, and these things that I didn't like, or this one thing I didn't like, it doesn't really feel like a part of the game to me, so I didn't hold it against the game. I felt like it was something that could have been better, but it was more of like a sideshow to the actual main event that was the game. And that is the whole Dampy dungeon building aspect, which is pretty much Mario Maker meets Zelda. Zelda Maker, I guess is what you could call it. I felt like this definitely had a lot more potential than what they gave it. And I don't want to sit here and say that, oh, they just half-assed it and they just threw something out. I don't think that was the case. I think maybe they came up to time constraints or something like that, and they just kind of tried to finish it up as best they could. And since it was, like I said, a standalone from the game, they just kind of made it what it was and released it with the game. And in that case, what I'm trying to say is that it's okay, but it just doesn't make sense to me. So to speak about it, it's pretty much you get to build your own dungeons and you get to clear them. You get to go through the dungeon that you've built. That seems weird to me because it will be almost like playing hide and go seek with yourself. Like, you know where you put everything, so obviously you're going to be able to easily walk through these dungeons. Now, if they were to add an online aspect to where you could create a dungeon, upload it online, and we could log in and complete that dungeon, that would be great, because then you could play all these random dungeons that people all across the world made up, and it would almost like add a whole nother game inside the game. But they didn't go that route. Now, for complete disclosure, you can save the dungeons to amiibos. So if I put it on amiibo, I could give the amiibo to one of my friends somewhere. They could use the amiibo up and load up the dungeon that I built, and then they could play that dungeon. Now, that would be great if we were still in the 90s and everyone came to each other's house to play games. That doesn't happen anymore, so that really doesn't save any of it for me, and I feel like that they just really missed a great opportunity to fully flesh out that mode. Now, the only other part of this that let me down had to do with the collectibles. You have to collect 50 of the secret seashells, and you have to collect all of the statues of the other Nintendo characters like Bow Wow, you got the Piranha Plant, things like that from mostly Mario type games. Now, the statues, for instance, I really went out my way to collect all these statues from the Trendy Claw game. I know it's not called Trendy Claw game, but that's what I call it, and that's what it's going to be called on this video. But so I got all the statues from that, felt like I should get a good reward for that, and all you got was a chamber stone. Now, the chamber stones, they go with the dungeon builder in the whole Dampy's dungeon thing that I just finished ranting about. I just feel like that was really just not, it really wasn't a reward for doing that. It felt kind of bland and kind of let me down for doing all that work. Now, getting over to the secret seashells, there's 50 of those. And for your first reward, I got a heart piece, and I thought, okay, that's pretty good. Then I came back when I got 40 and I got the powered up sword. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a really good one. So when I went out to get these last 10, I was like, well, I could only imagine what the upgrade is going to be for that. Like, maybe I'll get a wider range on my magical spin attack or something like that. And no, when you come back with 50, you just get a damn chamber stone. So it makes me feel like that they really had a better intent for that whole dungeon thing. And they wanted these rewards to feel like something great, but since the whole dungeon aspect was kind of bland because it was, I guess it missed the mark. It made these end rewards from these two collections just, it made those bland as well. Granted, at least we got the power up sword at 40, but it really made me look at, I didn't have to get 50. 50 was a waste of my time. But besides those slight things that I had problems with, which, like I said, I don't really feel like is a detriment to the game itself. It's weird that it feels like it stands alone to me, but it does. It feels like it's not really part of the game that I enjoyed, like that beautiful masterpiece that's Link's Awakening. If anyone hasn't played it and you're on this review, I don't know why you're on this review because I've ruined the entire game for you. But if you played the one on Game Boy and maybe you were trying to figure out, should I get this new one that's on the Switch? Maybe you were on the fence. I hope that, this one kind of lets you know that this is really a must get. If you have a Nintendo Switch, it's a must get. It's a great game. I'm so happy they brought it to the Switch because it gave people like me who never got a chance to play it on the Game Boy another chance to enjoy a great, great Zelda title. So with that being said, like I said, please go get this game if you haven't gotten it. It's definitely worth it. And as always, please subscribe to the channel. We always appreciate all the support that everyone out there gives us that watches the videos, like the videos, comments, and leaves feedback on our stuff just to let us know, like, if there's things we could fix, or if you just really like what we're doing and just want to give us that thumbs up. It's all appreciated. It's all love. And as Keith would say, hey, be blessed and stay beautiful, people. Peace.